Hey, good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. It is Tuesday morning, early Tuesday morning. Trying to get this thing close to me. Yes, it's early Tuesday morning, and it is November 17, 2020. Boy, this month is going fast too. This whole month. Yeah, I'm in my bedroom right now. It is about 3:48 a.m. in the morning. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning, yes. Hey, Kim. How you doing? Yes, yes, yes. Yes, this is going to be a wonderful broadcast. Yeah, I awakened, uh, could have been close to an hour ago. Yeah, this is my monitor that you see on the screen. I was watching I fell asleep with the program on, and then I awakened and a lot of shows had passed. I was asleep and the thing was still running. And uh, I said, hey, I was watching a program, but I fell asleep on it. And it's this one here. This man's name, let me see if I can zoom it in. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, your message got retracted, Parton. Yeah, just got retracted, the message. Okay. Well, this is what I was watching here. Let me see if I can zoom in. Let's see. Okay. So the guy's name is, okay, DR Shiva Live. What to be done? Time to weaponize yourself with the ultimate education. Okay. Uh, and it's on his channel. Let me roll it up a little bit. Okay, so this is his channel. Dr. Shiva, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. But it was aired, as you see, November 4, 2020. Okay, that was the day after the election. Okay, so this man here, I've seen him before. I've heard his name over YouTube. And let me make it zoom in. It's kind of big right now. Okay, now what I want to talk about. Well, this man, he's from India. He's from the untouchable class, meaning he was on the bottom of the social ladder in India. Those are the people that if their shadow goes over you, you're considered unclean. They're really, the India has a caste system. A caste system is racism on steroids. It's a system you cannot change. You cannot like marry into some other group to try to help your social situation. You're stuck there for the rest of your life. But he was able to. He's a bright individual though, and it was this guy who invented the email. You heard me right. You heard me right. The email system. He invented it, and there was a YouTube video on this individual. I didn't realize that. The video was an old video, but I'm still thinking of the little child that did this email, and forgetting that this, you grow, you get bigger. So yeah, he also went into MIT as a youngster. Yeah, he's like he's brilliant. And I think it might be a doctor too, a doctor of medicine. I'm not sure, but he has his doctorate. Well, why I'm doing this live stream, and I want to have his face on this, just as a focal point, because this is what got me thinking a moment ago. Now, I was watching this video that you see here on DR Shiva. He lives in Massachusetts, and he was running for office, for senator. I'm not good with politics and everything, but I think every state has two senators. Okay. And he's definitely an outsider, you know. He ran for office and he learned something, what was going on. He's a smart individual. And he had, see, I have to try to word this really well. Okay, because this is not my specialty, politics and all this stuff. And I'm discussing this on my channel, Spirit Journey, because it's like a wake up call. It's a wake up call about this. I see that the amount of viewers keep popping in and popping out. But yes, you're welcome to pop in and just say hello as you come in and put a like on the thumbs up on the channel. Um, I felt it necessary to discuss this. It's a wake up call to me. Again, I don't consider myself a political person, and I'm discussing this because it's part of my awakening about growing up in life and being in the dark and finding out things going on is not your imagination. Politics is never anybody's imagination. When you think something is going on, it's because it is going on. So let me begin. Now, he had ran an election in Massachusetts, what do you call a grounds up movement, as he calls it, and again, he has a computer background, big time, okay, um, but he's entering into American politics, running for senator of Massachusetts, and he had enough wisdom and computer knowledge. He's a programmer also, to know that he better do something for this election thing. And he advised people to write in who they want to vote for. And he had it so that to make it to enforce that the capability of writing in your ballot. My understanding, when you write in a ballot, you are saying that you will enforce that this ballot be read. And a human being has to read a name, because you have to write it in with your hand, right? So a human being has to read the name and jot it down, okay? Because he knew, as a computer expert, or understood how computers work and how they can be manipulated to write it in to ensure that your vote is read. Uh, he learned now. He said he had an opponent, and his opponent um, didn't have um, posters, what people put on their lawn, vote for so and so. He didn't have any obvious, campaigning as this guy, Dr. Shiva, who you see on the screen here. But I guess evidently Dr. Shiva, the man that you see in this picture here, what's showing on the screen, he did not win. And this was a wake-up call to him, and he notified the he announced that there was a voter fraud. He then contacted the Secretary of State, I guess, of Massachusetts. I think every state has a Secretary of State. That I didn't know. And he contacted that person. He tweeted that person. Guess what happened? This is very important, people. Very, very, very important. When this private citizen, American citizen, Dr. Shiva, who is running for office in Senate for the state of Massachusetts, the Secretary of State notified Twitter. This person, the Secretary of State notified Twitter to delete this man's Twitter comment because he wrote several tweets exposing what happened to him as a citizen, as an individual who has the right to run for office, like any of us can. Anybody could run for office. Even if you only have a penny. You may not win if you only have a penny, but you have a right as a citizen to run for any office you want to. If you're of a particular age, you have to be a certain age to run for certain positions, okay? But this man's tweets, Dr. Shiva's tweets, were deleted and his account blocked because the Secretary of State, he finds that Dr. Shiva, this man that you see here, found out that the Secretaries of State, all of them, have a hotline to Twitter, to social media, to have any comment that they don't like, and suppressed information from the general population. I'll repeat again. The Secretary of State in your state, all of them have a hotline to Twitter. I do not have a Twitter account. If it's not just Twitter, I would imagine that not only do they have a hotline to Twitter, but they might have a hotline to YouTube or any other, Facebook maybe, any other social media account. And if they don't like what you said, because they don't want the public to know and be informed, that they could have it removed, your comment, get freedom of speech. Okay, it's not, and I'm talking about hate speech, go hurt so and so. No, not anything like that. Information, and have it removed immediately, and then block your account. Do you hear me out there, YouTube land? If you can hear me and understand what I'm saying, type in the number 1 for yes. That you hear me and you understand what I'm saying. You understand me? Type in the number 1. If you don't, put in the number 2. Okay? This is very important. I want you to understand what I'm saying. This is extremely important for the time that we're living in, all of us, regardless of your race, gender, religion, nationality, political party, anything. It applies to you. It applies to you. Yes, I see the count just dropped. What's going on here? What's going on? Am I saying anything offensive? Why did the viewership just drop? What's going on? Did I offend anybody? Well, I'm going to keep on keeping on. So, this was a wake-up call to me, listening to Dr. Shiva, who you see here, who shared this information. And it got me thinking, yes, welcome back. Yes, so it got me thinking about reality. Yes, Spirit Journey is about what's going on, it's about reality. What is my reality? And so this Dr. Shiva was sharing a reality to me through this video about what's going on in elections. And yes, we had a major election on the 3rd of November. And yes, I did do an early vote. But the question now, Dr. Shiva exposed that when you vote, oh, yeah, him being a computer person, he has a computer background, and Dr. Shiva is the person that invented email. So he understands computers. He as a child, uh, went to MIT. Okay, uh, so he knows what he's talking about with regard to what computers can and can't do. And he realized that he had enough sense to do a write-in ballot, to allow a write-in ballot in his state or county or whatever word it is, to ensure that they have the ability to do a write-in ballot. So rather than using the little bubble to circle the bubble, and yeah, haven't you guys been hearing about the bubble that what do you call it, the Sharpie gate? You said, well, what is the Sharpie gate? Okay, turns out, well, some of the election areas, um, when you went in the building to vote, they gave you a Sharpie pen and to fill in the bubble. But the instruction says either use a pen, a black or blue pen, ballpoint pen, but they're giving them a Sharpie. Well, what is a Sharpie? That's a magic marker. What do magic markers do? It bleeds through people. It bleeds through. And it bleeds to the other side, and it could, it'll reject the ballot. The computer won't be able to read it. It will reject it. Well, why would you dare issue out a Sharpie? Well, maybe they issued out in a county where they know certain people vote at. Maybe that county people suspect based on demographics how they're going to vote. So they want to flip it. So a lot of these votes got kicked out, and you had people exposing, hey, how come we're being given a Sharpie? You need a pen. The instruction says use a ballpoint pen, black or blue, and you're giving us a Sharpie. So a lot of people left that place wondering whether their votes were really, really tabulated. And this Dr. Shiva that you see on the screen, he said, what guarantee when you go in and do a vote that it's registered, that your vote was counted? You're not given like an ID, you're not required to put in an ID, to show an ID to say to prove who you are. So you have people who were, um, dead people voting, or sometimes people might vote in multiple places. And they know the system knows what's going on. So this Dr. Shiva also um, said that he believes what happened to him. Now he said that he knows that he had a lot of write-in votes, could be close to what is it, 500,000 or 300,000 vote-ins. When you write out the name. But what happened? Well, it turns out, or he suspects, okay, these computers are programmed. And as a programmer, he understands about how things are set up, how a computer works. And that the computer was set up that anytime his name was, let's say a bubble was filled in his name for his name, um, it will count it as a half of a vote. And let's say his opponent, who did not run for, he didn't campaign like this guy did. This guy campaigned hard. Okay, he is an outsider, but he's campaigning hard. But his opponent didn't. And I gather his opponent won. So this computer, okay, when it gets to his opponent, could double. So for every vote for his opponent, it's registered as two. And that's what he believed happened to him. So there is fraud, voter fraud that's going on big time. And now, so why am I talking about this? Well, I started thinking in my life. I said, wow, this is going. I thought a computer was bulletproof because a computer is set up and it has to count it exactly, right? Well, I didn't realize that computers could have like how do you say, um, a program within a program. The Surface program is designed to read each ballot, but how it reads it is the key. How it reads it is um, what's in question. And you start to wonder, wow, how come so and so got in? Well, there's a sub program that you don't know about. It's not counting each vote as one. It might be reading as a half a point, a half a human being, and the other person as two human beings, maybe even three. Anybody, I mean, anyone who has access to the computer. And then I found out, at least it was discussed over the internet, that the computers are not made in America. Get that. These computers that tabulate your voting in your community was not made in your community or country. If I heard right, again, I do not know definitively, because again, I don't make these machines. I'm just a regular person that lives in New York City, that these computers are made overseas. And I think someone might have told me, on the internet, that it may be made in, get this, China. 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 Why would a country like this have an important machine to be made in a communist country? How could that be? Who would be that foolish to have a, an election machine to be made in a communist country? Oh my God. Why would you do something foolish like that? Why? Well, see, the dots start to get connected because look at the opponent of Trump. Look, just for an example. Let me sit up here. I'm just in my bedroom right now. Oh, sorry. Just trying to get comfortable. I was sliding down in bed. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So what's happening now? So you have Biden, who's running for office again, just like this guy. This is Dr. Shiva. For those of you who are just coming on board, Dr. Shiva, who lives in Massachusetts, and he ran for Senate and he lost, and he was explaining what happened to him. But just like with Trump and Biden, Trump was pumping hard in the campaign trail big time. big time. I don't know of anybody else who was campaigning as hard as he. And he was president, and he is president. Okay, you again, your politics is your business. Okay, but Biden wasn't going out there campaigning, but somehow everything flipped, and the same thing would happen to Dr. Shiva happened to Trump. And here, Trump is, I mean, Trump is an outsider, but, he's born here in America, but he was an outsider in the sense that he doesn't come from a politics family, okay? But he does have a lot of money. And he's been in the public figure in New York and all the major cities in the United States for about 40 years. So he's very well known, and he had a television program. He had a lot of visibility. So here Trump allegedly lost, but again, it was shown that numbers that were voted for Trump mysteriously switch. So I'm just going to throw out a number just to make a point. Let's say he had 2,000 votes. And then miraculously, it went down to 1,000 votes. So from 2,000 to 1,000. I'm just throwing out a number just to make a point. And that other number went into somebody else. And these were documented as occurring. How could someone who did not um, campaign, how could that happen? And why didn't he campaign? Well, maybe he knew, okay, Joe Biden has a son named Hunter Biden. And isn't it known that Hunter Biden was doing deals with Ukraine, which is right next to Russia, and communist China? And where did those machines come from? The voting machines come from China. And China and Ukraine was paying Biden. And this Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, has no experience in the subject, engineering or anything like that. He is a college dropout. At least I have a college degree. I have my master's degree. And then no one from China came to me to give me a job. Okay, so why they're going to a college dropout who is a abused illicit drugs like crack and cocaine. He was thrown out of the military. I also was in the military too. I wasn't thrown out, but I don't have people from China or Ukraine asking me to be on their board. So why did they approach Hunter Biden for this very important position? Well, because he is the son of the vice president of the United States, and that was his invitation card, who his father was. So the logic is, let's have this son on our board, influence him and pay him. Okay, he's not gonna work for free, and to pay him these ridiculous sums of money every month, and so he could tell his father how to swing a policy. Okay, so he's paid to play. So you vote. So here, this person who's paying to play and being bought by Ukraine and communist China, he's running for president of the United States. So don't you think he's going to influence and really be representing China, communist China? So the other wake up call, I mean that is enough right there. That these are troubled times, that you have individuals working in your government who are doing deals on the side, illicit in nature. Now he's not the only politician ever to do something illicit, but it's just so known and it's exposed now. So it also had me thinking about my life, what I want to really talk about. Okay, so I wanted to mention all that stuff about the current elections, what's going on, but it had me think about my own personal life. As many of you know, I was born and raised in New York City. I'm a black woman. I went into the military. Um, I've had many different occupations. Uh, what else? I graduated from school. I have my master's degree in nutrition. I worked hard for everything I got. And I started wondering, I started wondering about certain things. And again, I mean, I say this because is this what could have been happening all my life? Now, you ever like try for something, but you see everybody else getting, but somehow you never smart enough? Something like let's say high school. Let's go back to high school. People apply for different schools, or let's say you'd have to take a competency test, like a reading, math test. And they tabulate all those things. It's bubbled in also. You use a pencil, then a number two pencil, you pencil it in, right? Don't you know that, okay, New York City, don't you notice who keeps on scoring low? Black people, okay? Somehow black people never seem to be smart enough to score on a reading level or math level. But you got people from foreign countries that don't speak English, but somehow they're able to pass the exam and do well and get into all the honor classes and things like that. And you start, you as a black person start to feel insecure with yourself. You feel inferior. You're always in the remedial classes. Well, what if what was going on was that the machine tabulated your, because again, in those days, in the 1970s, you had to indicate what your race was. Yes, you did. That's like, I think every black person instinctively knows that something is up when they ask you what your race is. It's never in your favor. And no, I'm not race baiting either. I'm just saying, explaining my experience. And it could be for any race, any group, any religion, any nationality, any gender. It could be anything, people. Anything, anything. I'm just using, for me, as an example, as a black New Yorker, um, born and raised here, and my life, I just had bad luck somehow. Always had bad luck. And uh, don't you notice though, people, anybody out there from New York City knows of what I'm talking about, or maybe you're from another big city, and you growing up, you always notice that somehow, sometimes it doesn't seem to work for you. That everybody else is succeeding but you. You're always in the stupid class, or just everything. Well, these tests, again, like Dr. Shiva said, these tests are computerized. They have to tally everything. So it doesn't matter what reality is, such as in elections and just counting a vote. That sounds simple. This bubble means that it's this person. That bubble means it's another person, right? Right? So, but we're learning now that those bubbles don't mean what they mean. You think they mean something, but it doesn't. The computer can tabulate it as something else, in favor or against. In favor or against. You're voting, you're filling. So you're taking a standardized test in New York City, has millions of people. I think New York City has the largest school system. And it's a lot of different races and nationalities and everything in New York City. And everybody vying for power. Or at least people vying to stay in power. That's the main thing. New York City people, they want to stay in power. They don't want no new people. You want to keep the old guard in. That's New York City. New York City is old guard. Okay, so you take these tests, these standardized tests in New York City, growing up, and it's a fill in. You use a pencil, number two pencil, and pencil in, the little bubble. And that machine could tabulate and add points or maybe subtract points. It could pass or fail you. No one's counting. No one's really verifying. Did someone what were those test scores verified? Was it? You never know. And it turns out that this Dr. Shiva, who you see on the screen, that the election machines, that count the ballots, that it takes a print, like a picture of everything that's scanned, and then makes it so it's making it disappear. So then you can't verify how it counted. So what it sounds like, what he's saying, this Dr. Shiva, that let's say it scanned in your vote for X, Y, and Z, but maybe it recorded it twice, the same vote twice. Or let's say it didn't count it at all. It deleted X number. Okay? So going back with New York City and growing up in the school system, and you take these standardized tests, right? And somehow certain groups just tend to do just so well that they perform on grade level. And let's say if you don't perform on grade level, what could happen? Oh, we're going to put you in the remedial. There's money to be made, people. Well, remedial class, and what did you call those other things? Oh, special ed, that's the word. Special ed. Special ed is a money racket in New York City because special ed, when a child is labeled, okay, that label, like you have a label, Republican, Democrat, liberal, you name it, what label. When you get labeled, there's things attached to that label. And that child who's labeled as special ed, the school system could then demand extra money because that person is special ed, and then they get more money. Okay? Isn't that a type of a slavery system? You're selling those children to get money. It's not there to help that child. Some people thought that slavery, it helped that person because they got a job and they get gruel every other day, and they get free clothes once a year for Christmas. Okay? It depends how you want to think it, how you want to view it. But isn't it like the same type of thing? That person that special ed represents cash, and they don't care the state of that child, and they don't care whether it's true or not. They just care in the label and what that label means to them in that community, that Board of Ed system. They take that child, take the money generated from that child, and then just throw the child in that plantation room of misery, of the teachers calling them stupid. There's no learning. They're just there, and they usually, these classrooms may be packed, even though it's not supposed to be packed. There's supposed to be a little bit of kids in the classroom. I think maximum 15 kids. But is that true? Well, either way, they're stuck in classes, and it's not designed for them to achieve. In fact, they have all sorts of kids with the same label, but they might have different um, things. But let's say one person can't see. Maybe they have a vision problem. Another one might have another type. So you have all different types of problems, all stuck in the same classroom. So how could they learn? It's not designed for them to learn. It's designed to label kids, weak kids, kids who are weak in the sense that they fell through the cracks and uh, got classified as something, and got classified, and you can't get out. Once you get into that school system as a special ed, you stay there as a special ed until if you graduate. It's a money making system. So, what if those machines are classifying your child as a special ed because these people in the school system want extra money so they could create jobs for their friends, okay, or to keep down certain ethnic slash racial groups away from the so-called privileged children, because they don't want their privileged children sitting next to certain people, okay? Yeah, keep them separate but equal. Or we're not hurting them because we're putting them in special classes, and extra money is going to those classrooms. No, it's a system that's not designed to help those kids. It's to pocket and fleece their pockets for their, in my opinion, just my opinion and speculation, illicit activities, to pay their friends, to create jobs for their friends at the expense of your child. And some parents participate in this activity. They want their kids in those special ed classes because they're selfish. And some of them think that, oh, my kid is really going to get help being labeled as special ed so they can get extra money or something at the expense of their kids. But the kid has to go through the process, not the parent. The kid is being shamed, and they may be forced to have to go on certain drugs. Hear that? Drugs. Oh, your kid's special ed. Oh, he can't sit still. Let's put him on Ritalin. And they do that to your child. And it destroys their mind. Yeah, and when I say this, I'm thinking about someone who I know. When I lived in Hawaii, yeah, they do it in Hawaii too. And the kid was getting, it was a male kid. He was about 15 years old, and he was getting wild. The mother told me they had him on Ritalin. Oh my God. Yeah, on your child, because an exam, as we see with this Dr. Shiva who you see on the screen, people can take an exam or a ballot, in this case, fill in the bubble, but the bubble not counted correctly. It can classify anybody. It could take any demographics, anything, and turn it around. And they can do these things in the school system, right? The school system, whether it be an election, it's all the same. They're all connected because the school is the stepping stone for you to maybe get into a college, a trade school, um, and then from there, maybe, hey, go into politics, right? Right? Or a job, right? So, isn't the school system a very important tool, a primer to bigger and better things in life? Isn't that what's hoped for? So you implement a computer system to count and tally votes. I mean, not votes, marks with your children. Hey, your kid reads below level. Oh, they don't have math skills. Or how about the SATs? It's computerized also. Can't they computerize and say, hey, this kid has this type of name? Well, let's give them extra points. Or they got this type of surname, let's give them another type of point. Why not? Why not? How about when you get into college? How is that certain people in college with programs, how is that it's like the same people get into those programs but not other students? Well, you have the same computers. You have the same people who run it. You have the same type of people. Again, these computers are made in certain countries. They're not made in America. What if those people are the same people who make the computers for our elections are the ones in the colleges being used? And what if those other countries have an interest in having certain Americans in colleges to be accepted in certain programs and certain people don't? Look, look at New York City. Isn't that something? So someone who's been here for many, many generations, somehow they don't get in and other people get in? How is that? How is that certain? Just look. I'm just saying, like, I look at myself. I said, I busted my ass in college. I thank God I finally graduated. It took everything out of me. But I just want you to open your eyes. Is that what happened to me? Is that in college? Is that what happened? That certain people getting accepted into programs and then other people don't. So you say, is it that certain people are just smarter than other people? You start to question your intelligence and you settle for it. This is this makes me angry when I think about this. Anger, anger. Wow, and you know there's something else too. Uh, in New York City, like I remember I had an opportunity to talk to uh, a classmate of mine from way back. She was an extremely intelligent woman, and and another person too was sharing me similar type of story. Um, if you are a black person slash African American, it seems like when they do accept black people in programs, it's a specific number that they allow in. And they're very particular on what individuals and at a particular time period, a particular graduating class. and that these are locked in and ensured a position, and then it stops. So yes, there is, okay, there is, some people may say reverse discrimination. Oh, they selected those people because they're black. Yes. Oh yes. And for specific reasons. And that's it. It was a collective of, I think it was about five. They said, the girl told me it was, I think they said five of them, four or five of them from the school in that graduating class were selected to go to Harvard. But these, back then though, these, and they're all girls. They're all girls, and they're brilliant. These, you know, back then, you had black people who were smart. Yes, they were in extra honor classes. These were phenomenal. I met one of them. I remember the first day of school. I think she entered the high school in the 10th grade. I entered in the ninth grade, I think. Yeah. I think she came in on the 10th. But either way, I remember the first day of school seeing her. And I saw she had a giant briefcase, I remember. I said, wow, this is the first day of school, and we don't have a bookshelf. We just walk into the school. It's the first day, and she had, that girl came prepared. Yeah, you had some smart ass black women, black girls back then. Yeah, she was of Caribbean origin, Jamaican. She was a light skinned Jamaican, black Jamaican girl. I always admired her. She right now she works on boards. What do you call it? What do you call it? Like you have a corporation and you have a board member. She's on different board members things. That's what I see her on her internet on her. Um, she always she was phenomenal. But I'm thinking, because what she was telling me, like I'm not going to mention the names or anything like that, but it opened my eyes also. She told me this about 8 years, no, wait a minute. So let's see, about 13 years ago. Yeah, I had this conversation with her 13 years ago. And she was telling me that they were all going to the same, these girls were all going to the same school for the program. So it was like it seemed like an agreement, a private agreement that the schools were to select X numbers for whatever reason, and it was because of their race. But they were candidates of high scholastic, and they were it. Okay. And then again, there was another program in New York City. Uh, it was City College. It used to be considered the poor man's Harvard. That's what they called it. It was City College of New York. And it's in Manhattan. And it was a pre-med program. And again, in that one, they selected X number of blacks for that specific pre-med program. But it's only, the numbers seem to be the same, 405. The same as the other one that was maybe 20 years prior at a different school. It's the same thing. So there's like a private, like you have the mainstream people, applicants, whatever, but then you have these sub applications. That's what it seems like. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just going by, I'm interpreting as my understanding with the information I was given, interpreting what it sounds like what's happening. So you have the mainstream, you know, getting applicants, whatever, and again, some things, tests and stuff like that, maybe reading certain things to select certain people. And then you have that like that fill-in ballot where they select deliberately a certain demographics because of something. It's to safeguard a a a selected vanguard type of individual. It's to ensure that they get in because maybe they have a special like this different levels of this my what I'm speculating. There seems to be different hierarchies within hierarchies, different subgroups within a massive grouping of people. And so those two classes, one was for oh in fact I think both of them actually was to go in as a pre-med. Yeah, I know the one in the 19 I think the early 90s was a pre-med program. Yeah, because the person now is a doctor, an MD. And then the other one, she initially I think was to enter in the pre-med. At least when I knew her, it was pre-med, but she decided later on to get her MBA instead. But yeah, initially it was pre-med. So it seemed like what it sounds like that there is a class of people and they're using whatever um, how do you say it? A special system to screen people to get into programs that they want certain people to dominate certain programs, but within that selection process they have a private selection process for certain demographics. In this case, it was black people, the all black females, and the number was 405. In both instances, there were the same number of people. So this is like seems like a secret gathering because they know that they're not because of the system. It's not going to allow the certain people of color slash black people in them. So it's like overriding and ensuring a specific candidate of people, hand selected. These are hand selected people. Also, what I do know with the second one, they are in a sorority. Okay, so I think that has a big influence. So the Harvard School does not have sororities, I was told. The graduate from that school, they said, we don't have sororities, but they do have, I guess, they may not have that. They don't need to have a sorority because Harvard University is the sorority. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have a subgroup within Harvard. The fact you got a Harvard degree serves as a sorority or fraternity, if you know what I mean. So that's your badge. And when you go the job market, whatever, you're going to be select because you have that badge. You are then eligible for certain programs, certain types of jobs, certain government jobs, certain jobs you will only get if you are an Ivy League, what they call Ivy League graduate. So CIA also only recruits from these Ivy League schools. So is that fair? Is that fair? Now you could say yes, you have to be a graduate from college, but shouldn't all the colleges be can because not everybody goes to those schools. So it's saying a certain type of graduate uh, is being selected. That's discriminating. Most people don't have minds of Ivy League school people. Most people are just regular people. So it's then making a distinction and elite force within government agencies that are tax funded, your tax dollars. They don't just say, okay, only Ivy League school people are to pay taxes. Not in your life. Everybody has to pay taxes. So everybody should have a chance and be selected from all different colleges, not just Ivy League. It's discriminatory. So I know I said a lot, and it just seems like they are systems at play. Even in the elementary school level, it seems to suggest that these schools, from you got a little tater tot, little kid, he or she's getting an exam that you got to bubble in. Well, remember, those little bubbles represent something. It's going to indicate your gender. So some people, they don't want certain genders to be in certain programs. It could be your nationality, because it may ask, okay, where are you from? It may ask what your race is. So can't it then be scored based on those demographics and not really measuring reality? And then the statistics are made based on those lies, distortions, and it says, so and so is in the remedial class. Oh, so and so is going to be put in the honors class. Yeah, disgusting, isn't it? Doesn't it make you angry? It makes me angry just thinking about it. So you think that you look around, let's say you live in a big city like New York City, where I live, and you see the millions of people, and you see the same thing. I see the same thing from 40 years ago till now. You see certain groups get in and certain groups without. And I'm tired of it. And so I'm made aware of certain realities based on the person that you see here. His name is Dr. Shiva, on the screen that you see. His name is Dr. Shiva, and he applied for the Senate seat of Massachusetts. He is the originator of the email system that we have today. Email. And so he understands computers. He went to MIT. He does have his doctorate. I don't know whether he's an MD or not. He could be an MD, but I'm not sure. His name is Dr. Shiva. And he lost the election. And like Trump, this guy, Dr. Shiva, campaigned hard, and his opponent didn't campaign. And so, how did all this happen to him? But he was smart enough to tell his voters, do the fill in, the write in, the write in, where you have to manually write down the person's name. Because he knew, as a computer background person, he understands he knows how to do computer programming. He understands how systems could work. And to help him with getting the election, you write in the name rather than fill in a bubble, because you have to manually read the name and document that name rather than using a bubble system. But it didn't work. Something happened. He realized what the problem was, and when he announced that there was possible voter fraud, and when he notified the Secretary of State of Massachusetts that person, the Secretary of State of Massachusetts had a hotline to Twitter because, see, this man here tweeted the message to the Secretary of State. He made about 4 different tweets, and then that Secretary of State contacted Twitter to delete this man's tweets. Could you believe that? And so this is, as he called it, a banana republic. See, that's also what I want to talk about. What is a banana republic? And see, this video that I showed, let me zoom in again. Let me zoom in. Because I want you to be able to watch it on your own leisure, okay? That's the name of, see, it was aired November 4th, right after election, okay? So you can watch it at your own leisure. It's very interesting. I watched it several times already because I thought the information was really, the essence of the information really, really interesting. Really interesting. Oops. So I have to close it back. Okay. Okay, there. Yeah, I had to fix that. Okay, so what's happening? Oh, what was I just saying now? But what it sounds like that, see, these tweets were being removed. There is a censorship going on. There is a censorship, and as this Dr. Shiva called it, a banana republic. That he said, look, you had in the past, I forget which president he said, if it was, it could have been Nixon or Ford, maybe he said Nixon, I forget which president. But he was saying that these third world nations were having problems with elections because there was a lack of integrity going on, and that we should intervene and teach them how to have a fair elections. But those computers and stuff, they're the same computers. So how could you enforce integrity of voting when there's no integrity in your own computers? So just because, okay, in those other so-called third countries, one thing, they're very passionate and they go for the juggler. But these, what they call one world governments, Western governments, as some of them call, they're just as dirty and vicious. See, we're brainwashed, and I definitely was brainwashed. Yes, I was a brainwashed individual who's trying to wake up. That I was brainwashed to think because someone has a suit and tie on, yep, you got a suit and tie on, and you have your hair combed a certain way, right? You have a suit and tie on, white shirt, and you walk around, and that you're civilized, right? That's what we're taught. But they play dirty also. They may not be wearing a machete, but they have other weapons. They use the internet as their weapon. They can type in anything about somebody, or they have the power to pull somebody else's comments, or this man's tweet. So you don't need a machete. You just use the technology of the day. And the technology that's heavily used now is the internet. They can claim someone said something that they didn't. They could make a video. They have technologies to make it look like you said something you didn't say. They have all this software, and I discussed it over a couple of years ago about these technologies that could make They can take an imprint of somebody's face, digital imprint, and then animate it for them to say and do things, and they were never there. That is a form of macheting. Use a machete. A machete is a long sword. If those of you don't know what a machete is, they could use it for the sugar canes to cut the sugar cane, things like that. That's I think where the Banana Republic thing, type of mentality came from. These tropical areas that use machetes because they had these sugar cane plantations, things like that, and the brush, and they use these devices to cut the tall grasses and everything like that. And then the Westerners were observing how they voted and everything. They were, I call it oppression. That they see these so-called banana republics are maybe used to get food. We get our fruits and vegetables from them maybe. And so you have Western interests. Who's going to control that region? And so they said, hey, let's intervene, Westerners, let's intervene and put in our computers and this and that, so they can control it, right? But it turns out, as Dr. Shiva here is saying, that the computers are faulty, that they are programmed to read things in a particular way in favor of the programmer. Wow. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. I mean, it just went, it just solidified in my head an understanding. And then I started, again, as I just discussed, growing up, going through public schools, and seeing disparities, and because we had to take tests and that you had to fill in with the bubble, bubble it in, and different programs that you see, only certain people get in, and it leaves you feeling angry. And they say, well, you just didn't study hard enough. Well, what if they program that machine for certain people to pass and certain people to fail? What if? You out of luck. So he did devise a book, this man, How to Fight. I like how he said how to fight. How to fight using your mind and with knowledge. And I thought that was amazing. Amazing. Again, he did this video, at least it was streamed the day after the election, November 4th. So, yeah. So this isn't, we're not living in truth. We're living in a world that is controlled by people with their own agendas, who on the surface look like gentlemen because they have a suit and tie on, but they are thieves and liars, some of them. And they have control over your vote. We're not living in a democracy. Our votes don't count. Our votes, our votes are being manipulated. So someone else is in charge. The person who is in charge is the person who's able to tabulate how they want it tabulated. It's not based on truth. So in essence, we are all slaves. We are all slaves. But let's wake up and demand justice and truth. Every vote should count how it's supposed to be counted in truth. And if you see patterns happening in your life, if you're noticing in your school system that certain people get in certain programs and certain people are put in the stupid people's class, start wondering. They can say that someone who is a genius is a special ed kid and deserve to be in the stupid class. They can do that. That's what I'm saying. They're twisting reality upon your children. Get them when they're young so that when they are in graduating age, they already dropped out, discouraged, get on drugs and stuff like that and fail. These societies are being socially engineered and you didn't even realize it. The things that you see, the things I'm seeing in New York City right now is socially engineered. You get these freaky, freaky looking people doing freaky things. When I went to vote, do the early vote, about 3 weeks ago, I think it was 3 weeks ago, how come I was the only black person online? But all the people that you saw hanging out on that street were all black people with look crazy, homeless black people. But I was the only black person to vote on that line. How is that? How could something like that happen? And then when I got inside the room to vote, you had black people working in there. So what's happening, people? What's happening? What is happening? And how come in the areas of voting, I'm getting another clarity now. How is it that I'm the only one on the line, but the people who are thugging the people on the line are all black, predominantly all black people? They did have two white people that were around, but they weren't harassing. You had this Hispanic person from the islands that he looked like harassing people behind me. How is that? How is that? And then you go inside the polling room and you see black people working in there. What I'm thinking also. So you have, New York City has a lot of black people, but somehow that the masses seem undirected, just a wildness, a wildness. Uh, you have to be here to know what I'm talking about. It's never really been like. I mean, it's really going down the tube. How is that? What makes things like this happen in a community? And it seems like you do have some black people that work in government. So if they're working in government with the election thing, well, how come we're not organized here? What's going on? Well, I'll tell you what I think what's going on. That you have some black individuals, some people working in positions, they're physically there, but they're not there to empower black people. They're there for themselves. They're part of a group. They might be a part of Black Lives Matter, but they're not on the advancement of black people. And they're designed to actually hold you back. I tell I'm speaking the truth that you have, just because someone is of a particular, just because someone is a member of your race or nationality or religion doesn't mean that they're there to represent you. You have people who are being brought to your community, supposed to represent you, but actually for your demise, not your empowerment. If you start asking questions, you'll put on the spot. I had asked for a particular a preference for a medical thing, and I was surprised at the response I got. I only asked for that I had a preference for a particular type of doctor. And the person said, well, not everybody classifies themselves as such. Well, I didn't ask her that. I just mentioned a preference that I had for a type of practitioner that I wanted. But I think if it was anybody else, that it would have been uh, granted. And that's what I see what's happening in New York City. That we're not being represented by other black people for our interests. Even though you may have them there, but they're not there to represent you or help you. And New Yorkers, black New Yorkers, are being suppressed, suppressed of their rights. But they use blacks to bully people, such as, in my opinion, the Black Lives Matter movement, which is being used, it seems, to fund political organizations. So they cry black, uh, uh, black victimhood, and then people give them money, and then they use that money for political things to hold you out of office because you're not a favorite. That's what I see what's happening, and it's disgusting. Our votes don't matter, and that's what I'm saying. That's why when I waited online to vote, why I might have been the only one voting there because it's the system in New York City. You know what else? I know I'm rambling a lot, but I'm just trying to put the pieces together, and I hope you're seeing the pieces too. We have a mayor, Mayor de Blasio. He's a white man of Italian background. But get this, he's married to a black woman, and he has at least two children, a boy and a girl. Now, you have some people who marry, but they're not representing you. So here, this is a mayor and has a black wife, American wife, and to have all these disparities happen in her city where she lives and not address the black issue is a waste of our time. How many people voted for them because, oh, he's married to a black woman? Well, that black person is not representing you. And that's what's happening in America today. You have people who are using your face, using your color to win you over. They take your vote, but they fail to represent you. They fail to help get you off the street, off the drugs, off the program. Lot of strikes against us, and they want to keep you there. And you have all these new people being represented and are getting a piece of the pie, but not you. But they're using you to be bullies, such as the Black Lives Matter movement, which is just a hoaxy organization, in my opinion. Yes, Black lives do matter, but the Black Lives Matter organization is another institution to be questioned. Their real motive. Those black women in that organization, when you look on the website, I looked at the website, look at those women. Are these women who are about the black family? And if so, how could that black family stand when none of those people are in traditional unions? You don't reproduce when you're not in a traditional union. Again, the lifestyle you choose to live is your business. And this is not about an anti whatever. You have the union that you want for yourself. But if you're representing the family institution, but you don't have anybody in that lifestyle, how could you then promote the black family? So these are things, questions that you individuals in any community, it can happen to anyone, whether it's a black community, brown community, white community, any community. They've taken supremacy in your in your group, your demographics,
but they don't represent you. Your vote isn't counting, but they take your vote, whether it's an organization like Black Lives Matter, whether it's a Democrats, Republicans, Libertarian, it doesn't matter. It could be any institution. It could be any tests that is tabulated with a computer that can count your vote as twice, or it can deduct it by half. And in the end, the outcome is the same, your failure. And that's what this guy here, his name is Dr. Shiva, and he exposed certain things of the election he participated in. He was running for senator of Massachusetts, and he discovered disparities in the computer itself, a computer used in America that's not even made in America, and it could be made in communist China. So, how could communist China technology be used in American politics? And as you see with, um, oh, what's his name? Joe Biden and Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, were doing deals with communist China and Ukraine and funneling money from China to Hunter to Joe Biden. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. And both parallel. This man here and his opponent didn't look like he was campaigning, and same as with Trump. Trump was campaigning heavy, but Biden wasn't campaigning. But look at the end, the outcome that the computer says that their opponents won, and it was found that the computers had severe disparities in tabulating. Okay, you're not being represented, and you being lied to, and this is part of the social engineering program going on. You want to hear something else, you New Yorkers, or anybody in the state? Okay, you have a lot of people now who are losing jobs, and you have a lot of people on public assistance and food stamps. I heard that it is it wants to be implemented that for you to get uh, food stamps that you have to be vaccinated. You heard me right. You have to be they want to implement that to get um, that benefit. You have to be vaccinated. That's like putting a gun in somebody's head. Oh, you want food? Well, you better vote for me. That's illegal. That is illegal. And someone mentioned also something about the bar, the New York bar, that they want to make it pass a law that you have. I think they said you have. They want to implement that it's mandatory to wear a mask. A law. Yeah, I gotta research that a little more. Yeah, the New York bar wants to implement something. Shame on them. If that's true, shame on you, board. Shame on you. So yeah, this man here that you see, he has a book about how to this is a type of warfare that's being done upon the public through technology, and he has a like a booklet, and it teaches how to overcome this, you know. So again, you look at this video at your own leisure. Let me just zoom in again. Yeah, that's the name of the video. Dr. Shiva Live. What is to be done? Question mark. Time to weaponize yourself with the ultimate education. Yeah, he's referring to his book, and he has
uh, some he wants to have some type of class over the internet. I think it's November 15th. He wants to have this class. Oh, that already passed. Okay. Yeah, this was done on the 4th. But either way, um, sorry, my battery's running low. Yeah. So either way, um, take a look at it at your own leisure, and hopefully this video and many others will open up your eyes and try to find out ways how to overcome this technology that's being used to oppress us. And it could happen to any race, religion, any demographics, any. So, yes, I thank you again for watching, people. I hope you all enjoyed it. Yeah, give me the thumbs up, share this video with friends, family members. You should subscribe to my channel, Spirit Journey. And I have a PayPal me account. Um, those who want to support financially, go. The link of my PayPal media account is on my channel. The banner on the right hand side, you see my PayPal me link. Just click on the link, follow the prompts. Any amount would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I thank you in advance for your contribution and your emotional support. I thank you again. Peace, love, joy. St- uh, Use wisdom. Stay out of trouble. Keep your eyes open and be well. Okay? Take care, guys. Bye bye.